Hey guys, Casual Crono here. I thought I would try to do something a little different with this video. What I would like to do, it's kind of similar to how to build a Superboss team, but it's a little more nuanced for wind teams. And it's kind of a historical morph of how wind teams have developed over the years. And I think it'll make a little more sense once I finish. But what I'm going to try and show is an early Superboss team and then point out some of the weaknesses that it had. And then as more characters came along, I will replace certain characters to cover those weaknesses. And then, of course, as time goes on, there's more and more features to worry about that can improve it even further. So I guess it's a way to show how you can constantly look at your own teams and decide what is the problem and are there any characters out there that might be able to solve that problem. A long time ago, in a land far, far away, wind teams, and all the element teams for that matter, usually were made up of a couple damage dealers, healers, and a tank. You might have even mixed it around and had a wind user if you needed healing. Maybe you had good old Mariel on your team. A wind team could have looked like something like this even. But that said, let's get rid of you now. So let's go back to wind. And I also realized that I'm not necessarily starting out with the original characters. Yifa AS was certainly not one of the very original characters, and 7 didn't get his 5-star until later. I realize that. But I'm just kind of pointing out how teams could have looked and how they morph. So, that said. So, Garum Barrel has Rage. That's usually an indication of a tank. So, a lot of people had Garum way back in the day. This is Garum's normal style, not his AS or anything. Suzette was one of the original characters, one of the first to get her manifest and true manifest weapons, and she's been a staple for a long time. And the nice thing about her is that she has Demonic Thrust, which reduces power and intellect by 40% for 5 turns and inflicts pain, and it ignores target resistance. So that's a very powerful debuff, even somewhat by today's standards. She doesn't have to stack it or anything, it's just 40% right off the bat. Yifa, it doesn't show in her skill list, but she has an ability called Faith, and she can choose one person on the team to give faith to. She can Faith Suzette, or Faith Garum, or Faith 7. And what it does, it takes her spirit, divides it in half, so half of 320 is 160, so 161, and it gives that character 161 points of everything. 161 power, 161 intellect, 161 endurance spirit, luck, speed, etc. So she can make a damage dealer with their power and int really powerful. She can make a tank by boosting endurance and spirit up really tanky. So she's kind of a flexible character. And then she has some buffs and stuff like that. And 7 has the ability to deploy Wind Zone if he's not in a zone. And he can inflict pain as well, and he can do wind damage, and so forth. So this is an example of an early-ish team. Mid-game gearing, Void Staff, Guidance Ring, very easy to get. It improves type attack, which if you're not familiar with type attack is your elemental damage. If I remove the ring, and then try to equip it, you'll notice that all type damage goes up by 10%. And Guidance Ring was something very easy to get early on, It came from, I think, Antiquity or Present Garulia, another dungeon, but one of the first ones. And for the int, a 25 int badge, was fairly common back then. Your damage dealers. Tried and true. It was true 4 years ago. It's true today. 3 panes, 1 with a bullseye ore, and 1 with a rose with thorns ore are kind of standard. The current meta, the 3rd pane, is often replaced by a weak point badge, but this is back then. This is a couple of years ago. This would be a perfectly acceptable set of Grasta for a damage dealing character. I threw in Last Stand ore, which basically for every enemy you gain 30% as long as you have at least 2 enemies. There were other choices, but Bullseye and Rose with Thorns are standard. Suzette is the other damage dealer. You'll notice that she has the exact same Grasta, only for Lance users. She has a 25 power badge, Void Lance, which improves her wind attacks and gives her 100% critical rate, and then the Guidance Bracelet, which improves type attack by 10%. So, old school damage dealers were usually geared something like this. Your support characters, everyone kind of had their own opinions on how to build them. Usually, for Yifa, since spirit is so important, you want a very high spirit. And then everything else kind of whatever. So I threw on some gear that gives her spirit. Kwai weight gives her some health. And then I'm of the crew that gives health Grasta. So hammer, each one of these gives 300 health, 5 spirit. This one gives 10 spirit. So again, I'm even trying to boost her spirit through her Grasta. And then Sound Body, which just gives every hammer user some extra health if fully awakened. Not that I have any hammer users in the group, but whatever. Garum, old school, would probably be geared something like this. Pointy Parasol improves his physical resistance a little bit, though mine's only a +1. Oriental Bracelet improves type and physical. A lot of people back in the day would give him 200, 300, 500 hit point badge and feel very, very uber in the process. And then, of course, gear that improves hit points and more hit points and more hit points and more hit points. So, pretty standard old school wind team. For support characters, since the 2 damage dealers are Seven and Suzette, you have a support character for each one. The magic support character back then would almost always have power of insert your element name here, and then throw in things like enhance if max HP or sound body, something like that, something that's shareable. So Kilqua is improving Seven's wind damage by 30%. If Seven is at full health, his damage gets improved by 30%, and no matter what, 7 gets an extra 300 health and 50 MP. So, Kilquia, buffing 7. Saria is buffing Suzette and in the exact same fashion. Power of Gale, 30% wind damage. If Suzette's at full health, 30% more damage, and then Sound Body to keep her alive. Now, of course, back then, they didn't have things like Stellar Awakening, but I'm just kind of showing you in general an evolution approach. If you pulled Suzette today and Stellar Awakened her, this team technically functions. Is it the best? No, not at all. But that's, that's not quite the point of these videos. So there were no sidekicks back then, so we have no sidekicks. So that is an example of an older school beginner type of wind Superboss team. So let's see it in action. To showcase this team, we're going to face the Lacus Solitudinis 20,000 BC. we are here in the Chasselis Crystal region. And here's the boss. It's a tier 9 super boss according to the wiki. And it is earth-based, which means wind teams are great against it. It starts off deploying a Torn Earth stance. Garum gave them the barrier. We're going to use Monsoon, Demonic Thrusts to reduce power, inflict pain. We're going to Faith, Suzette, and we're going to reduce power and intelligence of enemies even further.
Blessings upon you.
Here on turn 2, we're going to go ahead and do Dust Devil. We've done Demonic Thrust, so now we can Dragon Assault. We're going to Athdaucus to improve defenses even more. And we are going to Inflict Rage. What we are now going to do, we're going to blow the AF gauge and try to get Suzette's Bolt of Bahamut Stellar Burst going. So we've done pretty much all the 3s, all the 2s. So we're going to work in 1 Benacht, just for the party-wide buff. And then we're basically just going to spam all 1s. So Rampage, Dragon Assault, and Aurora, and Iroha, and try to work down that barrier. In fact, let's go ahead and let's wait 1 more turn. So, and Aurora, Iroha, there we go.
Eat this.
With all the buffs, defenses, and barriers, the team took 0 damage, and now we're a little bit closer. So let's go ahead . Alright, we're pretty close now. So we need to redo our debuffs. Guess we don't really need pain, so we'll do that.
Blessings upon you.
Take this.
Alright, we are going to burst, get rid of that earth zone,
Oh, ye dead. Bring forth your
and Bolt of Bahamut barrier pierces. So we've already hit the HP stopper. It tries to deploy Earth Zone, but it can't because we're in Awakened Wind Zone. So we've already cast the debuffs. So what we're going to do now, we're going to blow the AF gauge while we're in a wind zone, and we will go ahead and spam. We might do 1 Benacht. Yeah, we'll do that and Rage just in case. So we're going to do 1, 1, 2, 2, and then all 1s. 1, 1, 2, 2, all 1s. And if we can chew through that barrier, we'll start doing some damage. And there we go. The Tier 9 super bosses don't have that much health by current 2025 standards. 2-3 years ago, that was a very difficult fight. But that's an example how an early wind Superboss team could have functioned. So let's think about that fight for a second. It went smoothly, there weren't any problems, but there are some issues that we probably need to work with. First of all, there wasn't any form of MP regen. While the fight continued, you saw that the character's MP was decreasing, and there was really no way to restore it. Older school fights, you'd actually move someone into the back row, let them spend 3 or 4 turns back there restoring their mana, and then popping them back out. Not really a thing anymore, but that's what we used to do. So MP regen is an issue. Secondly, this team did well, but damage-wise, not the best. You also noticed there was no way for me with this team to deploy a wind zone immediately at the start of the fight. I had to wait until Suzette was able to Stellar Burst before I could deploy a zone. And if the boss had broken the Awakened Zone, and yes, some do, I would have had to wait until I could Stellar Burst again to redeploy a wind zone. So the team is functional, but a little clunky. So with that said, I have a lot of characters. These are some of the characters, well, not some, these are the 39 wind characters that I currently have access to. Some are Stellar Awakened, some could be Stellar Awakened, and some could be 5 stars, and some are just level 4-star people that no one ever uses. Okay. So, this is more where the point of the video comes along. We're going to look at our team, we're going to decide what the weaknesses are, and we're going to improve upon those weaknesses. So weakness number 1, MP is going to run out. I need a wind character that can restore MP. And there are several out there. As time went on, one of the very popular characters that came out that could restore MP and heal was Melody, Another Style. I've switched them. Melody, she would stack desires on the frontline wind allies. Once there were 4 desires out, she would consume them and deploy an awakened Wind King zone. She would also restore health and MP at the end of every turn. This is independent of the Wind King stance. As long as she triggers the 4 desires, you are guaranteed the HP and MP restoration for several turns. If a boss destroys the Awakened Wind King stance, the heal still continues to trigger. So, if we replace 7 with Melody, we get an MP restore, and we get heals. Melody also can inflict pain, can reduce the enemy's power and intellect, provide damage barriers. She can decrease wind resistance. She can give the party a critical rate. And she can improve critical damage. So she has a lot of helpful tools. So putting Melody in the group would be an improvement. Next is tanking. Garam, yes, he has rage, but that's kind of all he has going for him. So kind of the next step up type of character, Soira. most people have a 4-star Soira somewhere. So for many people, it's just a matter of time before they get the aristocrat treatises needed to give you Soira Another Style. And Soira Another Style has Critical Guard. Critical Guard requires a weapon that has 100% rating or buffs that give 100% critical rating. I mean, technically it doesn't require it, but it's helpful to have. The reason is, for Critical Guard, whatever your critical rate is, that's how often Critical Guard triggers. So if you have a critical rate of 100%, you always have Critical Guard no matter what. And nowadays we can check down here and see physical critical rate is over 100%. We're good. So what does Critical Guard do? It, I don't know if it actually goes into a description here, but yeah. What it does, it takes your luck stat and it caps out at 500 luck if you can actually get 500 luck. But basically, Critical Guard takes a % of your luck and reduces your damage by that much. If you can get 500 luck, that means it reduces damage by 75%, and that's from all sources. So you want her to have lots and lots of luck. So if you know what stats your character needs, you can gear them appropriately. So Soira, thanks to her Grasta, which all again are health based, the ore, in my case I happen to have the true aristocrat proof, so that's a huge chunk of health. Void Lance has 100% critical rating, so does Elpis and a few other weapons, but we're just going to stick with Void Lance for now. Armor that gives luck, a badge that gives luck. You could always just simply toss on a luck badge if you wanted to. And now you have a very strong tank. Skill-wise, she is able to reduce enemies' power and intellect, therefore decreasing the incoming damage. Floor Breeze actually gives her a 100% critical rate as long as she's in a zone. So you don't technically need a weapon that has 100% critical rating, but if the buff falls off or something like that, you know, it's just nice to have. Foi Sincere improves resistances, gives her a shield, and then other skills that are helpful. Elemental Guard improves type resistance, so all very defensive. Suzette needs a new weapon now. Let's say that you've finally gotten the Elpis Spear. So this team is pretty strong. And we can actually keep the two reserve characters just the same. Because we have Lance users, 2 of them, Soira and Suzette, and we still have Melody, who does do a decent bit of damage. Yifa now has a much more interesting choice. Her Faith can either Faith Soira, which would cause her luck to skyrocket, or she could Faith Suzette, or technically Melody, and their damage would skyrocket. Which, on that note, Melody needs some gear. So let's give her 7's Void Staff. Let's just give her 7 stuff. Guidance Ring. Scroll all the way down. Yes, this is what I have to do every time I swap around teams for the videos. I have to scroll all the way down to the lower badges, so to speak. Resonant Power Shadow comes much later. So let's see. 7 had. There's the bullseye. Oops, those are the health ones. There's adversity, and there's MP consumption. So this just shows if you upgrade a character, like we upgrade 7 to Melody, now they're both staff users, so I basically just took all of the gear that I had invested in 7 and gave it to Melody. And now she's pretty geared up. So, benefits for this team: after turn 1, Melody is going to deploy a wind zone no matter what. And once I have the stellar bar ready to go, I can have a wind zone on demand if I need it, if I'm, still waiting for Melody to deploy another one. So Soira is a lot more defensive, stronger, and tougher than Garum, like night and day stronger. And her rage is also tied to a debuff. So this is a pretty strong team as well. One thing that we can do now, sidekicks. We have a whole bunch of sidekicks that we can choose from, but to keep it simple, we're going to use Iridian. When an enemy takes wind damage, their power and intellect will permanently be decreased by 10%. Iridian also heals at the end of every turn if you have green Iridian. So we are going to use him with this party as well. And the boss that we're going to play with is the Warped SD-148 in Arat Maze Village.
Clocking in for duty.
It is also an Earth-based boss, as you can see. And it also has a very annoying barrier. So we are going to weaken it, poison it. We're going to Faith Suzette. And we'll go ahead and do poison too.
Blessings upon you.
Now at the end of the first turn, Melody destroys the zone and provides us with an awakened wind zone. She also has provided us with a heal and has started to restore mana. So right away, she's an improvement over 7. We're going to go ahead and Athdogus, Magical Smash, and Dragon Assault.
Blessings upon you.
We're going to take turn 3 below the AF gauge and try to fill up the Stellar Burst bar. This boss has a barrier, and there's 42 stacks of it. So that would take a very long time to chew through otherwise. So what we are going to do, we are going to blow the AF gauge. We're going to Dragon Assault, Dark Drill, and Aurora, and Floor Breeze. And we're going to see what we can do about filling up that gauge. I might do one Binoct to work it in, just in case we're able to get it filled up. So, here we go. 1, 1, 2, 1.
Testify. Testify. How's this?
Alright, we have a burst available. Bolt of Bahamut in a burst barrier pierces. So now we're going to actually chew through that barrier.
Oh, ye dead. Bring forth your infernal darkness.
And we're going to continue with the assault.
How's this?
Now the boss will destroy the current zone. And he will get very mad and try to attack us. You'll notice that even though we're in an Earth zone, Melody's heal and MP regen are continuing. So we're going to Now, he also put back on the barrier, and we are nowhere close to barrier piercing. So it's time to play defense. So Elemental Guard, Lacus, Depravity, and Demonic Thrust. This will keep him weak. This will give my team a shield and beef up my defenses. It does take him 2 knockbacks because Lacus also gives Cyclone Wind immunity for 1 time. So it's used up on the first knockback, and then he succeeds on the second knockback. So we are continuing our... that doesn't really help at all. So she's just going to keep doing that. We will keep doing Depravity, and we'll keep Dragon Salting.
Blessings upon you.
Fortunately, because the boss is so weak and the team is so buffed, they're not taking really any major amounts of damage. Right now, it's a waiting game for 2 reasons. To fill up the Stellar Burst, and Melody at some point is going to eventually redeploy the Awakened Zone. So we're going to Foy Sincere, Lacus, Depravity, and Dragon Assault again.
Move. Blessings upon you.
There's our MP Drain. The word Space-Time Distortion appears. Now we're in an Awakened Wind Zone. That'd be nice if he didn't have a barrier. So we're just going to continue our assault. So we'll do Dark Drill, Lacus, and she's just chilling for right now.
How's this?
I'm getting my heals, I'm getting my MP regen. It's kind of a stalemate almost right now. Floor Breeze, Lacus, Dark Drill, Dragon Assault.
Blessings upon you.
As you may have noticed, the boss drains the AF gauge a little bit every turn. We'll do another Floor Breeze, another Lacus. We will Dark Drill and Dragon Assault. Actually, we're good at Depravity. It looks like some of those debuffs are disappearing. We no longer have the Awakened Wind Zone, and Melody has not deployed it yet because we don't have 4 people in the front line. So we're going to Ath, we're going to Magical Smash, Dragon Assault.
Blessings upon you. Proud. Because everyone deserves a nap.
We are going to do Floor Breeze, Ath, Dark Drill, Dragon Assault. We are now very, very close to being able to Stellar Burst. We now have our Awakened Wind Zone. So we are going to Anna Roar, Dark Drill, and Dragon Assault, and hopefully push this far enough along that we can blow the AF gauge. Alright, we are on turn 13. Now, this team is functioning well. We actually, looks like we chewed through the barrier, so whether or not we burst is somewhat irrelevant now. And the team did not come anywhere close to death. But it was a little tedious, was a little annoying. Heals are fine, MP regen is good, so that side is good. Let's go ahead and blow the stellar, or actually we'll just blow both. So let's take a look at our debuffs. Everything looks nice. Do we have pain? We do not have pain. We have poison. So we are going to do a 1, 3, 2, and then all ones. 1, 3, 2, all ones. You'll see his health is going down quite significantly. We've defeated the boss. If we really felt like it, we could always burst and see a bunch of Oh, I thought we were going to see 1 billion in damage. Guess not. Either way, we still did over 1 billion total damage. And the boss is defeated.
Phew, good job. I mean, whatever, dudes.
So, 13 kill turn. No real issues with survivability. The team functioned okay. But we're not happy with okay. So the question now becomes, what were the problems? Where is the issue that we can improve on? Tanking was great. Team took on very little damage. When Sawyer wasn't notched to the back row, she was taking all the hits and pretty much trivializing them. And even when she was in the back row, her buffs combined with Melody's and Yifa's and Suzette's debuff, it was not an issue. So tank, check. We need barrier piercing. A lot of enemies kind of in the mid-game, later mid-game, even trash mobs and horrors eventually start having barriers. So we need a wind user that can barrier pierce. Suzette can, but as you saw, you have to wait until the stellar burst bar is ready to go. So we need a character that's a little more reliable to barrier pierce. So we look at our wind choices. And off the top of my head, Sesta normal style can barrier pierce. And I don't have every character memorized, not by a long shot, so you all might know of other characters that barrier pierce. But when Sesta was released, and there are characters that can grant barrier piercing as well, I realize that too. But when Sesta was released, there was a huge, like, oh my gosh, this is a must pull in the global community. At the time, Japan's version was several versions ahead, so we knew what Sesta was like, and Sesta, true to her nature, is a beast with damage. So let's go ahead and equip her. And just to make it a little more equal to what we just dealt with. Where is... Scrolling all the way down again, just for you all. There's Suzette's. Suzette had a void weapon. And along the way, eventually you can upgrade one of the Pain Grasta to like Windburned Pain, Earth, Gleaming, Infernal, etc. It's the same pain strength, but it improves a particular elemental type. So Windburn Pain improves wind type damage. Otherwise, once again, we have Bullseye, Rose with Thorns on 2 pains. So very, very standard. Armor, kind of whatever. I like to use Dryads because it improves critical strength. So here we have normal Sesta, not AS, just regular old normal Sesta. she requires an awakened wind zone in order to do her Twin Blade Wolf. She does have an ability. When there's 4 wind characters in the front line, she herself deploys an awakened wind zone, which means I can Twin Blade on the very first turn, which is nice. So we're going to go heal up and return. While I'm healing, what I do, I looked at the issue. Defense was not an issue in this case. In this case, it was a need to barrier pierce. So I looked at my roster. I looked at which wind characters can barrier pierce. And technically, you don't have to match up, like, you could have a barrier piercing crystal character, for example, with a wind team. It might not be optimal, but until you can finally get that perfect puzzle piece to fit into your team, it might be kind of like a band-aid. But anyway, we're going to do that exact same fight with one single change. We've swapped out a non-natural barrier piercer for a barrier piercer. So there we go. We're in awakened wind zone right off the bat. So we are going to go ahead and we'll go ahead and blow the AF gauge. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Why not? So what we're going to do, we're going to hit 1 Starving Wolf, Depravity, Benacht, and Foi Sincere. So we're going to do 1, 3, and that's mainly to put pain on there, and then 2 and 2. And then I'm going to switch over and do a Twin Blade Wolf and otherwise spam all 1s. So 1, 3, 2, 2. There's the Twin Blade. We'll go ahead and buff up some more defenses. You'll see that despite the barrier, Sesta chewed through 3/4 of the boss's health. Melody is now going to destroy the wind zone, put up her own, and start healing and providing the MP regen. This gives me a chance to cast Faith on Sesta. We'll go ahead and have her Twin Blade again. And I'll go ahead and Magical Smash in the process. Sure, why not?
Listen. These are the cries of the
And here's the barrier pierce.
Blessings upon you.
Now, so already on turn 3, we're on the second and final phase of the fight. Once we get his health down to nothing, the fight's over. The problem now is we can't rely on Sesta to deploy a wind zone. That only happens on the first turn, and we just made use of Melody's ability before he broke the zone. So we are going to go ahead and for Breeze, Athdocus, Depravity, and in her case there's not much she can do right now, so she's just going to we'll just attack with Crusher Blow because it attacks 3 times. That one attacks twice, that one attacks once. So 3 times means 3 shields will be knocked off.
Blessings upon you.
Now you may have noticed the boss did do a little bit more damage. We don't have Suzette and her 40% power and int debuff here. What we do have though is Floor Breeze, which reduces by stacking. We'll continue to Athdocus. We will... we just did Depravity. We'll do a Dark Drill, and a Crusher Blow.
Blessings upon you.
Now the boss, thanks to Soira, has 3 stacks of debuffs from Floor Breeze. So now the boss is sufficiently debuffed to the point where he's not going to hurt them too much while we move Soira out from the reserves. So we'll continue to just kind of do whatever. We'll do a Depravity for the barrier, more Crushing Blows.
Blessings upon you.
Soira's back.
Everyone deserves a nap.
We'll go ahead and Poison Seer, Athdocus. We'll do a Magical Smash and a Crusher Blow.
Blessings upon you. There.
With 4 wind users in the front line, Melody can now redeploy her Awakened Wind Zone, which means Sesta can Twin Blade. So now we're going to Benacht. We're going to... We already have the boss debuffed Wind Zone, or Wind Resistance wise, so we can kind of do whatever we feel like. Let's just Dark Drill anyway. And Twin Blade. Remember, the last 2 hits of Twin Blade are barrier piercing. So even though there's 21 stacks of barrier, we now have a Faithed Sesta.
Listen. These are the cries of the voiceless.
And a Faithed Sesta can wipe out his entire health bar in 1 Twin Blade. She didn't do that in the AF burst because at that point she wasn't Faith. That's why she did 3/4 of the bar. So, many turns less than 13. I wasn't counting. I probably should have clicked on the status bar, but that was probably what, like 6 turns? Something like that. So this team, survivability great. Sesta, able to pierce barriers, makes boss fights a lot easier. Another thing that I actually just now realized, that fight probably could have been even quicker because we didn't have a character in the back set up to support Sesta. So we need a katana user. My go-to is Tomei. Tomei is an Avenger. It's one of his personalities. And the Avenger Grasta is pretty easy to get early on in the game. Sesta is also an Avenger. So it doesn't matter if she has full health, low health, whatever. It's not conditional the way Enhance if Max HP and Enhance if Low HP are. This one, it's just a constant... Where is... Gale. Almighty Power Avenger is a constant 25% no matter what. So, with that one change, just swapping out a reserve character, let's see how much easier this fight is. Alright, we are going to burst. We are going to, this time around, let's just have some fun. Let's just abandon a little bit of defense. Let's go with Starving Wolf to start, Depravity, Benacht, and then all ones for a bit, and switch over to Twin Blade when we get the combo rate up a little. So we're going to do 1, 3, 2, and then all ones. 1, 3, 2, all ones. Now Twin Blade. And now we'll go ahead and work on some defenses. Already turn 1, and we have been knocked into the second phase. He deployed the Earth Zone, but guess what? Melody hasn't gone yet. She destroyed the Earth Zone. We're back in a Wind Zone. Which means on turn 2, we can Twin Blade again. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to cast Depravity. It is preemptive, so some bosses, might clear their statuses. This particular one doesn't. But that way we can make sure we have Pain when Twin Blade goes. We'll go ahead and cast Benoct. We have an even faith, mind you. And we'll Twin Blade. There's Depravity. There's Benoct. Sesta goes. Her final 2 hits. There you go. 2-turn kill. What changed from the previous fights to this one? Simply changing out a character in the reserves.
I mean, whatever, dudes.
The previous fight had someone else, and Sesta had no reserve support whatsoever. So what I did, I found a katana user that could hold katana-related Grasta. It just so happens that Tomei's personality also meshes with Sesta's. If you don't have Tomei, which is... If you have Sesta and you don't have Tomei, then that's a small miracle. But let's just say that you don't have Tomei and you don't have an Avenger, then you can just go ahead and give any of the other shareable Grastas. So you could give another Enhance if max HP or Enhance at low HP, something like that. That way if Sesta has taken a significant amount of damage, then she's going to get even more lethal. Or if she's at max health, she kind of double dips with the 2 Grasta. You can see there's a little bit of health gone, so the Enhance if max HP actually was not in effect right at the very end. But it was during the first AF burst, so, But that's how you can kind of look at your team and make tweaks. So we went from Suzette to Sesta in order to bypass any issues with barriers. And then with the inclusion of Sesta, that forced us to look at our reserve characters again. If you want an even stronger Sesta, have 2 katana users in the back row, holding stuff. In fact, this used to be my wind team for a very long time. Otoa would hold Power of Awakening, Enhance at Low, and Power of Gale Katana. And Tomei would hold 2 Enhance if max HPs along with Avenger. So if Sesta was at full health, all of Tomei's Grasta were kicking in, and 2 out of Otoa's 3 would be kicking in. If Sesta was hurt and had below 80% health, then Otoa's Enhance at Low HP would kick in, which improves damage by 40%, at the cost, of course, of the 2 30% that Enhance if max HP no longer give. But anyway, that's kind of the process that got me to this wind team, and this wind team is very, very strong. Yifa can Faith Sesta, which improves her stats by over 150. Melody can deploy an Awakened Wind Zone over and over and over again. Sometimes you do have to mess with the timing a little bit to make sure that she deploys it when you want her to. Soira is an incredible tank that can tank through just about anything. Okay, now that we have a team that's really, really strong, what are the downsides? We have to be able to improve this even further. This team was excellent 2 years ago, but aside from Sesta, and in her case, her another style, none of these characters are used in the wind meta anymore. So, what's the problem? The first thing that I can identify, we don't quite have an Awakened Wind Zone on demand. We have to wait until Melody's ready to deploy. And so that does take a little bit of prediction. Second, when we cast the AF burst, yes, they were all doing wind attacks except for Yifa, but there weren't many attacks, and it didn't keep the AF going very long. Sawyer was doing one attack at a time. Melody was doing one or three at a time. So Sesta was really kind of carrying the load. Yifa, as awesome as her buffs and her faith are, her one attack skill wasn't even a wind attack. I could swap it out for Cruach, but it's a small attack. It does attack twice, so it does keep the AF bar going longer, but I also lose the speed boost and the type attack continuation that An Aurora gives. And then third, Sesta is really the only damage dealer. Melody against barriers was doing nothing. If there wasn't a barrier, yeah, she'd be pumping out some decent damage too. But with the reserve characters swapped out to be katana users, she's not getting any extra buffs or anything like that. So, Yifa, Melody, I don't have much damage coming out of this team aside from Sesta, and she's somewhat capped as well. So the next step I would see here is, how do we improve this party's damage? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show this team that's so easily two-turned the warped SD-148, and I'm going to showcase it on a different boss. And that one, oh, I gotta remember the name of it. Consuming Tree. There we go. We're going to fight the Shadow of the Divine Tree. We're going to fight it once. I'm going to show you I gotta remember where it is. I think it was over here. Yep, okay. So I'm going to show you once with the team that so easily knocked out the warped SD-148 in order to expose its flaws. Sidekick-wise, by the way, at some point you're probably going to upgrade your sidekicks. I'm not going to do this, just free characters type of thing, but Tetra. If you can pull Manalka, Tetra is an amazing sidekick. For sub-sidekick, Moke is often a good choice. If an enemy is weak, then you do more damage. I personally like, I think I just passed him up, Guns. Once you blow the AF gauge, or if a boss drains the AF gauge, basically when it's empty, everyone's stats improves by 20%, which means that's an extra 20% of power for Sesta, extra 20% intellect for Melody, extra 20% luck for Yifa, and endurance and spirit for Sawyer. So this team, we know it's a good team. And I'm not saying we're going to lose this fight. Alright, we are going to blow the AF gauge. We're going to Starving Wolf a couple of times and then end with Twin Blade. We're going to Depravity to get Pain. We're going to... We'll probably just do the 3s first. Actually, you know what? We'll do 3 and then 2 and 2. Then we'll do all 1s, trying to keep that AF gauge going for a long time. So 1, 3, 2, 2, and then all 1s, and switch over to Twin Blade in a little bit. 1, 3, 2, 2, all 1s. There's their Twin Blade.
These are the cries of the voiceless.
Blessings upon you.
Alright, we got some more defenses in. You'll see that Sesta, while she did a lot of damage, she wasn't able to chew through the boss's health completely. So we'll Twin Blade again. We will go ahead and Dark Drill. We'll go ahead and Faith Sesta. That should make her a lot stronger. And we got in 3 stacks of Floor Breeze. We got in Foyce and Seer. So we'll do an Elemental Guard for some extra defense.
These are the cries of the voiceless.
Alright, 2-turn kill. But we had 2 reserve characters beefing up Sesta. We had a whole party beefing up Sesta. You know, Banat Bua, we reduced wind resistance and everything, and Sesta still couldn't kill this boss in 1 hit. Now, was that a problem? No, we defeated the boss. It worked out just fine, but that is an area that we can improve upon. So, how do we improve Sesta's damage? Well, defenses were really strong. Let's take a look at our wind options again. We have Melissa, we have Shani, Tsubame, Izuka, Shiguri, all Stellar Awakened. Other very powerful wind people, Malpifia. Mistrari and her singing, Nikoko. We have a lot of choices. So let's again identify the problems. We need more damage. That can be done in a couple of ways. Reduce some of these characters and swap them out with damage dealers, preferably katana users, since we already are buffing up katana people. Or we can find a way to make the AF gauge last even longer. So let's take a look at that second option. Yifa is not helping the AF gauge at all. We're not even using a wind attack with her. Her faith, yes, is important. It's strong, and her Banat Bua is a great buff, and Athdalkis is a great defense. But as you can see, defense-wise, we're not having issues. So the only things Yifa is really bringing to the table right now is faith and Banat Bua. So I think we can remove her. Melody is still helpful for her zone. So Soira is still a good tank. So why don't we toss in someone who hits a lot?
What is the
Tsubame.
mission?
Tsubame has attacks such as, scroll all the way down, in Jaku Neku Rambu, it hits 5 times. In addition, at the start of a battle, she has enough cat seals that she can clone herself. So 5 attacks becomes 10 for a short period of time. As you can imagine, 10 attacks during an AF burst is very helpful. She also has the ability, with Fierce Feline Storm, party members to the user's right gain a bunch of buffs. Well, we just lost Benacht Bua by getting rid of Yifa, and that was like a plus 50% to everything. Well, she also has a plus 50% to power, which is the important one, and wind type attacks and everything. But we have to, right now, the person to her right is Melody. Now, Sesta is to her right. So we can improve the AF gauge. She can buff Sesta with Fierce Feline Storm. And let's see how this team functions. Let's heal back up. Rather get the AF gauge back up is probably more appropriate for that. So last time the boss took 2 turns to kill. Can we do it in 1, or do we need to keep making more tweaks? Let's find out. And this time I remember where to go. Yay. Alright, so we are going to do essentially the same thing. We are going to Fierce Feline Storm. So that's 3, 1, 3, 1. And then at that point, probably just do all 1s and see what happens. So 3, 1, 3, 1, and then all 1s, moving over to Twin Blade at some point. The other nice thing about having Tsubame in this particular party, she's an alter character. Alter characters have passives. It's different for each alter character, of course. It just so happens that Alter Tsubame's passive increases the length of time a zone is deployed. So she increases it by 2. So we have 6 turns of an Awakened Wind Zone. Tsubame also improves the wind zone. You see that little blue triangle up there? Every single wind attack makes this wind zone even stronger. Now, Melody's going to replace it on turn 2 and bring it back down to 0, but then we have 6 turns of Melody's wind zone, so that's nice. So you'll see that that number 0 is going to go up during the AF burst, making every single wind attack even more powerful. And you should see that the AF gauge is going to last longer. So 3, 1, 3, 1, and then all 1s. 3, 1, 3, 1, all 1s. The AF gauge is not being drained quite as much. I can already Stellar Burst if I wanted to. The wind zone itself is at 75 stacks. And now we'll go ahead and Twin Blade. Or I totally missed the Twin Blade. We'll have to do that again. I was watching the little countdown timer on the icons, and for whatever reason I thought I was watching... Oh, I know why. I moved Sesta to the 2nd position. I was watching Tsubame's. That would explain it. Well, all the more reason to finish this fight up and do it again. But you could see that just by the addition of Tsubame, the AF burst lasted a lot longer. So let's go restore the AF gauge and do that correctly this time. And we should be able to 1 turn kill the boss. If I pay attention. In some videos I might actually edit that out and just redo the fight from here, but I gave that explanation about Tsubami's alter ability and her zone ability and everything, so I don't really feel like doing that again. So you're just going to have to watch a slightly longer video. Sorry, not sorry. My current win zone, or win team, has Sesta all the way to the left. So I'm so used to watching that one. Alright, turn number 1, Shadow Divine Tree. Three, 1, 3, 1, and then all ones. 3, 1, 3, 1, and then all ones. And this time I'm watching Sesta's bar. Alright, now I'm watching it go down, I'm watching it go down. Twin Blade. Haha, did it correctly this time. Alright, looks like we hit an HP stopper. So we'll go ahead and do the 2s, get the defenses up. So I guess we can't really one turn defeat the boss because of the HP stopper. However, as you could tell, by removing Yifa and using Tsubami, we still kept up damage. We were able to keep the AF gauge going longer. We gained the zone ability, making all the wind attacks more powerful. And Tsubami herself is not that shabby of a damage dealer. Mind you, she doesn't have like the Pain Grasta or anything like that, but look at all those attacks. So let's go ahead and Twin Blade. We'll Winds of War. Well, whatever. Doesn't matter. This boss is about to be defeated. The second Sesta's moving, this fight's over.
These are the cries of the voiceless.
See, we didn't even get to the last 2 hits. If Tsubami had Pain Grasta instead of these Grasta, then she would have been a lot more powerful as well, especially if I had given her the Elpis gloves. She probably could have finished that fight herself instead of Sesta. But we made an improvement. We saw that damage, while nice, wasn't where we wanted it to be. At this point, what we're going to do is switch over to the Parallel Time Layer Nagsham dummy. And we're going to show you some, why did I say we? I'm the only one playing. I'm going to show you some numbers. So we are going to bring in Yifa. Where's the hammer section? There it is. All right. Gear. Sesta. Yifa. Melody. Soira. The back row characters are completely supporting Sesta. So the parallel test dummy is a one-turn, blast everything you can type of fight.
May heaven's mercy guide us.
1 turn remaining. That does mean Yifa cannot faith during this turn. So we are going to Starving, we are going to Benacht, we are going to Depravity for the pain, and Floor Breeze. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 1. And then we're just going to spam all 1s and Twin Blade. when the AF bar gets to about 30% area. So we're going to look at a few things. We're going to look at the awakened wind zone count, which is 0 because we don't have Tsubami. We're going to look at the combo rate as well. So we're looking at a few numbers. So 1, 2, 3, all ones. 1, 2, 3, all ones. Magical smash in there for the extra crit damage and all. So we're getting close to that 30%. Twin Blade. We're at 215%. We're at 215%. We got in a Twin Blade. No Faith, but otherwise we got in all the offensive buffs. We just did 4 billion in damage. So, this time, wind, make it a little simpler.
What is the mission?
Tsubami, who has to be, well, Sesta has to be to her right. Alright, this time, geared as such, let's do her without pain first, just with Enhance if Max HP wind and Power of Offense wind. So identical team to what we had against Plant Boss. So 4 billion was the damage before.
Who wants a bite?
We're going to Fierce Feline Storm. So 3, 1, 3, 1. Winds of War increases damage on weak point hits, but we don't have a weak point here. So the only other thing that will help is if I can work in another Magical Smash. That improves critical damage by 20% and wind type attacks. So we're going to do 3, 1, 3, 1. And then pretty much all ones, and I'll try to work in a Magical Smash. So 3, 1, 3, 1. There's a Magical Smash. We did end up doing a Winds of War. We're looking at a few things. We're looking at the combo rate. We're looking at the overall damage. Already, we passed up the 215 combo rate before, thanks to Tsubami's many hits. Right, we are going to Twin Blade now. Twin Blade, check.
These are the cries of the voiceless.
We are avoiding the Stellar Burst because we didn't have it before. We've maxed out the Wind Zone. We nearly doubled the combo rate. And instead of 4 billion, we did 12 billion in damage. So substituting Yifa out for Tsubami allowed us to keep the AF gauge going longer. Because it went longer, the combo rate was able to go higher, which meant more damage. And Tsubami's Awakened Wind Zone allowed everyone to do more damage. So 12 billion in damage from one single substitution. Now, many people would be extremely happy with 12 billion. But wait, there's more. We're going to do two things. We want to continuously improve the Wind team. This is a general migration. And there's a couple of things that we can do to do that. Soira did not do much damage in that fight. Is there a wind tank that's comparable to Soira that can do more damage, or at least help the team out more? Shani Altar.
You need me? You really need me?
Shani Altar also has that critical guard. So she still wants 100% critical rating, whether it's through a weapon, through a buff, whatever. In fact, she can self-buff 100%, but you still run the risk of, losing your buffs at some point. But skill-wise, if she is Stellar Awakened, she has Toadstrebe, which reduces wind resistance and stacks. And it, in general, is just a lot more powerful than Floor Breeze. She also gives Fated Love. It applies overcritical. Those are those orange attacks that you sometimes see in videos. It's applied to the character to her right as well. So you're forced to choose. Do you want Tsubami's buff? Or do you want Shani's buff on Sesta? If Shani, or any character that grants a buff to the right, is on the far right, it loops around and goes to the character on the left. So Shani's Fated Love is going to give Thorn Wedge to Sesta at the start of the fight. So that means Tsubami is going to be buffing Melody, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I said we're going to do more than one thing. We are going to change Tsubami and have her be a little more damaging as well. So Power of Agony with Bullseye. Not that Bullseye matters in this fight. Power of Pain. Let's give her with Wind King. And let's see, do I have one? I guess I don't have one for MP consumption. Let's see, Melody. Depravity. Only inflicts pain, so poison is not going to help. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and leave her with Power of Offense Wind for her third one. That affects the entire party. And badge-wise, we'll give her a power badge of some kind. Let's do a 30. Weapons, we'll go ahead and give her Elpis. Sesta, at some point, is going to be upgraded to Elpis as well. So we'll go ahead and do that now. We'll leave her with the 25 power badge. Melody, let's go ahead and give her the Elpis rod. And Shani already had the Elpis hammer. Why is Elpis still used? It's from like 4 updates ago. And it's because of this word, overthrow. Overthrow, if you're up against a boss, like a super boss, it basically improves your damage based on the level difference. So our characters are level 100, but bosses are a much higher level. There's a whole calculation for it. But needless to say, it's because of this overthrow that makes these weapons so valuable. That's why they're still used even today after basically 4 story content updates. The only bosses they're not really useful for are the Astral Archive challenges, because those bosses are actually set to a lower level, so the overthrow doesn't really kick in on them. That's a very simplified explanation, but there you go. We have basically a similar team. We're going to go ahead and leave Sesta in the first position, so Shani is buffing Sesta, and that means Tsubami is going to buff Melody. So we just did 12 billion and some change. Let's see what these changes do. Once again, we're going to blow the AF gauge. She'll Starving Wolf for a while and switch to Twin Blade later. We're going to Fierce Feline Storm, and then Injaku. We're going to Depravity and Dark Drill, try to work in a Magical Smash. Fated Love has already been cast, so we will Malediction and then Toadstrebe. So we're going to do 1, 3, 3, 3, 1, 1, 2 at some point, and 1. 2 might not be immediate, but it'll be close. So 3, so sorry, 1, 3, 3, 3. 1, 1, 2, 1, and then all ones. Okay, so 1, 3, 3, 3. 1, 3, 3, 3. 1, 1. Got in the magical smash, and now we're just spamming all ones. Now the combo rate should still be around the same as before, 400 and something. The Awakened Zone ability should reach 99 as well. That shouldn't really be any question. Alright, I'm watching the AF gauge. I think we can squeeze out a little bit more. And we will Twin Blade, hopefully. There we go, we got it in. You saw the orange numbers in there, that was the overcrit. And this time around, with the change in gear and the change in a tank, we went from 12 billion to 17 billion. So we're always improving. So let's take a look at that again. We changed up gear for 3 people. We gave Elpis weapons, and Tsubami gained 2 Power of Pains. And then we swapped out Soira, who doesn't do that much damage but is incredible defensively, and we put in Shani, who is a little bit more unstable on the defensive side but improves party damage a lot more on the offensive side, particularly for a wind party. So just through those 2 changes, we improved 5 billion in damage. So 17 billion, that's a good number, right? I think we can do better. So the current 2025 endgame scenario, we have weapon tempering, we have super bosses that have 100 billion, even more, and multiple lives even. It's a lot more challenging. There's less bosses that have barriers these days, and just they seem to want to throw on tons and tons of health. So, if you were lucky and pulled Sesta Another Style or upgraded her, she is incredible for many, many reasons. Her Twin Blade Wolf puts Expose on the enemy. So what does Expose do? Same team and everything. We just went from Sesta Normal Style to Sesta Another Style. She's even geared pretty much the same way, though I did equip her with a plus 50 power badge instead of a plus 25. So, same fight, just slightly different character. We're going to actually blow a Twin Blade Wolf right at the start of the fight. And that is because we can do it 4 times, so we could technically do it 4 times in the same AF burst, but it also puts Exposed on the enemy, which makes it weak to wind, and we have a wind team. So we're going to do Twin Blade Wolf, 3, 3, 3, then we're going to do Wicked Wolf Sweep, 2, 2, and then all ones. And then we're going to work in a few more Twin Blade Wolves once the combo rate gets higher. So we're going to do 0, 3, 3, 3, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and occasionally some Twin Blade Wolves. Alright, I gotta mentally prepare for this pianoing for a second. I really don't want to re-record it, so 0, 3, 3, 3. 0, 3, 3, 3. And we'll do all ones really quick. All twos. So not quite what I had originally planned. Now all ones. Second Twin Blade. First, why not? Burst, burst, burst.
I'll give ya everything I got. Take this.
That's a lot of damage. We're going to keep attacking. Bursting did reset the Zone Awakening, so we're at 20-something stacks now. Another Twin Blade. You notice the combo rate's a lot higher now. Another Twin Blade.
This is the power of a true
600% combo rate this time. Still got back up to 9-9 zone. Not quite perfect pianoing, but not bad. And this time, we just did 132 billion in damage. Yes, splendid work. If you don't have the achievement for 100 billion, there you go. All we did was change from Sesta normal style to Sesta AS. Now, the downsides. Sesta can only Twin Blade Wolf 4 times. It doesn't matter what zone she's in. And we blew all 4 of those during the AF burst. So if the boss had an HP stopper, anything like that, Sesta's out of luck. She has to go into the reserves, recharge basically the Divine Wolf stacks, and then come out. So that part's a little clunky. You also do not have barrier piercing anymore. Sesta, another style, cannot barrier pierce. So you have to rely on someone else if you need barrier piercing, or you just have to create a team that chews through a barrier fast enough that it doesn't really matter. So, what is the weakness here? Sesta was hitting a whole bunch of times. Tsubame was hitting a whole bunch of times. Melody, And then Shani, she gave over critical, which is nice, and she improved critical damage, etc. But her main attack, Toad Streep, only attacks once. It was reducing wind resistance, though, which is nice. So, and the sidekicks, neither sidekick was an action. Tetra, it didn't really matter. He doesn't improve damage anyway. And Gunts only, his aura only triggers when the AF gauge is empty. Well, the AF gauge is not empty until the fight's already over. So neither of them were doing any good whatsoever. So if you are in a position where you need to do as much damage as possible in one turn, in this case, we would look at the sidekicks. Good sidekicks. Moke. When you hit a weak point, all critical damage and magical critical damage go up by 30%. Creating an expose with Twin Blade Wolf 2 creates that weak point damage. So Moke would be an excellent choice. Jilia also activates on weak point damage, and it improves the critical rate by 100%. Now, this team is wearing all Elpis weapons, so it doesn't really matter if their critical rate is improved 100%. It already is 100%, but if you don't have Elpis gear, Jilia's a good choice as well. Another possible choice, and a free one, is Kuramaru. As long as someone's speed is 300 or above, enemies' slash resistance is decreased by 20%. That would make Sesta a lot more powerful. So, sidekicks, let's go ahead and use Moke and Kuramaru. So, same team, different sidekicks. The other change. It's generally advisable to have someone that can take damage. So between Melody and Shani, Melody is not quite as important anymore. Tsubame, her Stellar Burst, does deploy a wind zone. So we don't necessarily need Melody's auto Stellar Burst, though it is nice. not stellar burst, her auto wind zone deployment. But it is nice. If I get rid of Melody, I also lose healing and MP regen. So that might be an issue. So the question is, who could I employ now to help this team? Well, Malpifia is a slash user. Super Duper Slice will attack twice. And she has a prayer. Future Sight Get 'em improves the party's power, int, and speed. All weapon-equipped characters' damage improves. And it's a prayer, which means it will keep praying while she attacks. And she inflicts Elemental Break Wind as well, and reduces the enemy's power and intellect. She does have the ability to restore HP and MP as well, and a Wind King stance, it's doubled, 3,060. So if you need healing, she can do that. She can also deploy a Wind Zone at will. So it's not an awakened Wind Zone all the time. She can awaken it once, but if, for example, Tsubami's Wind Zone runs out, which it's 6 turns, it'll take a while. But if you don't have the Stellar Burst ready and you need a Wind Zone, Melody can deploy one. So we're going to make use of Melody. So let's give her the Elpis Sword. Keep with the Elpis trend. We'll do... what would be a fun one for her? Guidance. She uses power. So we'll give her 35 power badge. Swords. We'll do Power of Agony. MP consumption. Remember, the bullseye does not factor into this fight whatsoever. And then for her third one, what was the wind? Resonant Power Shadow. Resonant Power Shadow improves damage per shadow ally. Now Malpifia is light. However, Tsubami is shadow, Sesta is shadow, and Shani is shadow. So if I use Resonant Power Shadow, that will improve 3 characters' damage. Well, it's party damage. It actually, I think, improves Malpifia's as well. It's not 30%, it's like 22 or 23%, I think. But still, that's a way to improve party damage. The back row characters are still improving just Sesta. So, changes. We changed the sidekicks, and we changed one character. And is there any other skill? I actually have not used Malpifia much. I like the character, and I wanted to Stellar Awaken her, but I just never have the All Cosmos star charts to do so. And really, I don't have a strong need to anymore. So my win team is really good without her, so I figure why waste 3 Cosmos star charts. So, alright. Think we're good. Let's do this fight again.
Promise me you'll watch.
Leave no one alive.
Alright. One thing I noticed immediately, we are no longer in a wind zone. So we are going to have to deploy one. So maybe I should have put that on instead of Future Sight Duck, which we're not going to use. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to do Twin Blade Wolf right away. Fierce Feline. Get 'em. And Malediction. So we're going to do 0, 3, 2, 3. And then we're pretty much going to do all 1s from that point forward. We'll probably work in 1 Winds of War, and we will work in as many Twin Blades as we can. So 0, 3, 2, 3. 0, 3, 2, 3. All 1s. Even without the wind zone, we are still, now, we're still doing pretty good AF gauge-wise. So we're going to Toad Stream, we're going to Injaku, and that will deploy the wind zone. And we're going to Wolfheart. And we're going to continue doing all 1s. Winds of War worked in. Twin Blade. So that should be the second Twin Blade used. Third Twin Blade. We didn't quite get the fourth one in, so that will decrease our overall damage. We did not start off in a wind zone either. But let's see how we did with the Sidekicks and Malpithia. Almost 200 billion. So that is even without starting off in a wind zone and doing 1 less Twin Blade than before. And we came close to 200 billion. So now, how can we improve this team even further? So as always, we look at the team and we think about what is the weakness. Sesta is doing a mountain of damage. Tsubame is keeping the zone activated, or zone ability, whatever you want to call it, and the number of hits she's doing is keeping the AF going. So I'm very happy with them. Malpithia might not be the best character, but her prayer and the fact that she's doing slash damage is definitely helping. So let's think about Shani then. Shani is not really keeping the AF gauge going very much. She's doing a single attack to help keep it going. She is reducing wind resistance, which is nice, and her Fated Love is giving Sesta the overcrit. So she is helping. However, there is another tank that we can look at. Shiguri ES, Stellar Awakened. Let's go ahead and give him some gear. Let's give him, I guess, the Dryad's Katana. Can't really take the Elpis weapon. Let's give him... Sesta has the Dryad's Ring, so we're looking for anything that improves damage. Let's see. Luck. Awakened Zone crit rate, magic crit rate. Well, the Awakened Zone part's helpful. We're going to talk about Lepid in a moment. Lustrous doesn't really help. These are all the things you got to really think about when you're planning a team. There we go. Speed, critical strength. We'll use the Glimmer Ring. Badge, power. We'll give him plus 35 as well. Same as Malpithia. Grasta. He's somewhat of an avoidance tank, so having health is nice, but ideally he doesn't want to be hit. So I think for the purposes of this video, we will just go ahead and keep him health-based. So we'll give him a power of rebirth. Sound body katana. Why not? That helps Sesta a little bit as well. Power of rebirth, sound body katana. Why don't I give him 2 power of rebirths? That's a little redundant. Let's do MP restore as well. Okay. So, Shigure, I believe. I keep wanting to say Sugar Ray. A little flashback to the 90s. And I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but Shigure, he has... His stellar skill provides link to all frontline katana allies. So that'll be himself and Sesta. It also will do a wind slash attack every single time they attack, and inflicts weapon break slash. In a stellar burst, it activates the strongest unique skill and activates it twice. The unique skills are usually the first 3, the ones that sound similar. So Fugen Itoryu Melody, Fugen Itoryu Rend, and Fugen Itoryu Cease. Those are the unique skills. So Cease is the strongest one that I know. It's the strongest one that there is. So it will trigger Cease twice, which is a 4 times attack. So if I'm understanding this stellar skill right, each time he casts it, he's going to do 8 wind attacks. In addition to those 8, with the link effect, he'll do 1 more wind attack. So he'll do 9 wind attacks compared to Shaney's 1. He also can inflict pain, and bolstering Kai, improve resistances, and do other types of things too. But we're going to focus mainly on his stellar skill. So, what did we change from before? We swapped out one tank with a different wind tank, one that has a lot more hits, and one that has a link ability adding to both of their hits. And for the purposes of time, since it affects all katana users, I could look for other wind katana users. Melissa, for example, Izuka, for example, could possibly fill in for Malpifia instead, and with the link effect, add to their attacks. So, in fact, we might try Melissa after this, just for fun. So let's see what a change in tanks does. Alright, we're going to start right off with Twin Blade Wolf creating the Expose. Probably should have put in the Wind Zone thing for Malpifia. Oh well. So we will do Fierce Feline Storm again. Future Sight Get 'em. And Sorai Kimbu, if I pronounced that right. So we're going to do 0, 3, 2, 1. And then we'll pretty much do all ones until we can burst and get the Wind Zone going. And I will try to work in a Winds of War at some point. So 0, 3, 2, 1. And then all ones. 0, 3, 2, 1. All ones. Waiting for that stellar burst. There it is. Definitely Injaku, Wolfheart, and Sorai Kenbu. We will continue with all ones, work in one of Tsubami's 2s. There's Winds of War. Combo rates in the 500s. Let's go ahead, Twin Blade a second time. We're in the 600s for combo. Things are starting to slow down finally. Twin Blade again at a 700 combo. At this rate, we might even be able to Stellar Burst a second time. There's another Twin Blade. Notice the combo rate is at 900 now. We can Stellar Burst again. Wolfheart, Injaku, Sorai.
I'm gonna cut you to pieces. Train harder.
I think I saw an overcrit of 4.6 billion in there. And at this point, we're out of Divine Wolf stacks, so I don't think we can Twin Blade again. So we're just spamming all ones until the AF gauge finally ends. 1,083%.
Listen up. And if you're too far to hear,
Shigure does his little
'cause the Fugen Tiger himself,
end attack.
Shigure is here.
Shigure. It does sound like Sugar Ray.
Blow on a whim.
Probably gonna call him Sugar Ray anyway.
They all blow towards the point of my sword. And with them,
So last time was 186 billion in damage. We swapped one tank out for another. That's pretty much all we did. And that change alone ooh, a new high. 339 billion in damage. Yay! I'm excited about that. Full disclosure, this is the very first time I've used Shigure ES. So I knew he was powerful, but wow. That's awesome. And mind you, that's still starting off the fight not in a win zone. It could have been higher. And in fact, we're going to make it higher. So we have a new high now. Awesome. 339 billion. So, how can we make this team even stronger? We always ask ourselves that. Well, I've mentioned twice now that we did not start off in a win zone. Malpifia has a skill that deploys a win zone. Why I was not using it, I have no idea. It also improves the team's speed. So now we can start off in a win zone. Is there anything else we want to tweak right now? No. But we are going to do some tests next. Malpifia would be a strong choice to replace. At this point, Sugar Ray's Link obviously did a massive amount of extra damage compared to what we had before. So that means the weak link here is Malpifia. Even if she was Stellar Awakened, I still think she would probably be the weak link. It'd be great if we could replace her with a slash user, preferably a wind slash user. We actually have a wind slash user. We have two to choose from, Izuka and Melissa. But first things first, we now can deploy a wind zone immediately with Wabam. Will that one single change affect the damage? Same thing as before, we're going to Twin Blade immediately to get the exposed. Fierce Feline Storm. Wabam. And Sorai Kenbu. So we're going to do 0, 3, 3, 1. And we're going to do all ones. And we're going to try work in Winds of War when I... Actually, we're going to do Future Sight Get 'em and Winds of War. So 0, 3, 3, 1. And then 1, 2, 2, 1. 0, 3, 3, 1. Winds of War. Future Sight, get 'em. burst immediately. Sometimes I might wait for the combo rates to get higher, but you saw in the previous fight we were able to stack up a second burst. So we are going to do a burst right now and see if we can't get that second burst stack going. We should still have 3 stacks of Divine Wolf for our 3 Twin Blades. So we'll go ahead and use 1 now. There's the second. First. And if I can, I will try to get in the last Twin Blade. Nope, not quite as high.
Listen up. And if we're too far to hear, come in near. Because the Fugen Tiger himself, Shigure, is here.
Sugar Ray.
The winds may flow on a whim all their own, but they all blow towards the point of my
90s people will get it.
with them carry fortune
Maybe early 2000s.
as it is bold.
Okay, I don't think we'll have quite as high. We didn't hit 1000 combo rate. But we should still do a massive amount of damage. Oh, I was wrong. We got almost 400 billion in damage. And that was with a lower combo rate. So the only thing we did different was we gave Malpifia the ability to deploy a wind zone immediately. And we saw immediate effects. So, again, I'm still targeting Malpifia as a potential weak point. Obviously not that weak. So what can we do about her? So this is where some testing can come in. We could swap her out for Melissa. She'd probably be my top choice with who I have right now. The reason is Melissa has Glint Gale, which reduces wind resistance, and Nephrite Boost, which improves wind type attacks for the whole party and critical damage for the whole party. And for spammable, I'd probably have, well, I obviously would not have Hornet Hail. So Wind Divide attacks twice, so that might be a good spammable skill. Because with the Link, that's 3 attacks per hit. So we'll go ahead and try Melissa and see who is better. And in this case, we still want that overthrow, so I'll use Mujimaru. Oh, I need more rings. Let's see. Ring of Might could work. Damage when max HP. Awaken zone damage, crit rate. Let's just do the Scarlet. We'll go ahead and give power. So at this point, while I go ahead and gear her, I want to keep it somewhat even as well. Malpifia had 2 Pains and Resonant Power Shadow. So we'll do the same thing. So right now, I honestly do not know who is going to end up with a higher total. Is it going to be Melissa in the group, or is it going to be Malpifia with her prayer in the group? So let's see. We want Pains. So this team might do less damage. And that's okay. Because once you get a very workable team, you want to fine-tune it. So let's steal Oberon's stuff. There's Bullseye. Where is MP consumption? And then the third one was Resonant Power Shadow. Do I still have... Oh, I'm on the wrong category. That would be why. Malpifia, Resonant Power Shadow. Check. So, spammable skill. Wind Divide. Glint Gale, I think, only attacks once. Yes. And it does not stack, so... So this time we're actually going to start off in Flash Dance Zone until we do the first Stellar Burst. So that'll be interesting. So now we have 3 Katana users, therefore Shigure's Link will be affecting 3 out of 4 people, and we automatically start off in a damage zone, not a win zone. So we'll see if we can beat 300 upper 300 millions, because there's 300 billions, because there's always going to be a little bit of variation as well.
Sure, we can fight in the light.
Here we go. So we are going to do 0, 3, 3, 1. We're going to do 1, 2, 2. 1. The 2s might come after a turn or two because it's moving really fast at the beginning. So 0, 3, 3, 1, and then 1, 2, 2, 1. 0, 3, 3, 1. Left right boost, Winds of War. Alright, we got them all. And now we're just spamming 1s until the burst. And now all 4 characters can burst. Wolfheart and Jakku. I could have equipped Hornet Hail, but I'm not going to. So we have Glint Gale. We have that. So why don't we go ahead and Lunatic and copy her. And Sorai. We're going to do 1s for a little while and then start working in the Twin Blade Wolves. Look at all that damage. Pretty. Alright, I think we can start working in the Twin Blades now. Twin Blade number 1. Well, 2 actually. We used the first one right at the start of the fight. Alright, I'm watching Sesta's bar. Number 3. Combo rate's already in the 800s. Number 4. I can burst. Waiting for Sesta to finish. Did I just see a 7 billion in there? That would be incredible if I did. I'll have to check that out in editing. Alright, I guess we'll just Wind Divide with her.
Irregular performance increase detected.
We're going to lose the 99 stacks of Wind Zone, but that's okay. AF gauge is almost up anyway. We're at 1000 combo. Alright, so, question. Who provided more buffs, debuffs, damage, etc.? Was it Malpifia or was it Melissa?
The winds may flow on a whim all their own, but they all blow towards the point of my sword, and with them carry fortune as fierce as it is bold. $462 billion. We're pushing $500 billion, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't think I can get those numbers with Malpifia. So I think this team works pretty well. I just got 400 billion in damage. Yeah, I think this team works pretty well. Okay. So, can we do better? Well, obviously, if I leveled everyone to 100, they'd have more power, etc. So, yeah, you know, levels matter some. But I think this is a good time to introduce one final concept. And it looks like my dog wants to leave the room, so I'm going to pause recording for a second, let her out, and... oh, no, she's coming back. Yep, she's laying down. Okay. So, I'm still going to pause and restart just in case there's a power outage or something. 1 second. Just behind the scenes editing. I'll do a fight, then I'll stop recording, and then I'll start recording again. I do it all the time. A lot of times you don't even notice in editing. But that way, if that power ever goes out or something gets corrupted, I only lose a little chunk of data, not everything. All right, so we have a very strong team here, but damage is not everything. I'll say that again. I just did 400 billion damage, and I'm telling you, damage is not everything. If this team were to fight a boss with a barrier, I'd struggle. I don't have any way to heal with this team. I don't have any type of MP regen, and I don't have any way to bypass barriers. Now I'm thinking about it. Does Injaku barrier pierce? In Stellar Burst? No. So this team is great for like a one-turn Ultra Blast of damage on anything that would be, you know, not null to wind, of course. But it's not a cure-all, you know, every single boss can be destroyed by this team. You really have to consider what your team brings to the plate and if that is acceptable on boss terms. However, what I will show you is a way to improve this damage even further. So, Sesta is the main damage dealer. We're pretty happy with her damage. You could swap Windburn Pain out for Weak Point Strike. It's something that's fairly commonly done. It improves damage to weak points by 50%. So, endgame main damage dealers usually have 2 pains and a weak point strike, or the 3 pains. So either or. But Sesta's pretty good. Tsubame. She's doing a lot of damage as well, but there are ways to improve it. Increase combo rate. There is gear, there is Grasta, there's badges that improve combo rate. Every single attack improves the combo rate even further. If I give her, so right now, she has the Byakuya necklace. It improves her power and speed, which is nice. But if I give her the Leopard necklace, it will improve her combo rate and improve her attack based on her light shadow points, which I'm going to tell you now is not very high. She has a plus 30 power badge. There are badges that improve combo rate as well. This one is an HP 1000 combo rate, but another one, which is very helpful, is Winged One's badge. It's a power plus 30 and combo rate. And we know that Bullseye in this particular example is worthless because Bullseye only works when you're not in an AF burst. I have a few generic Power of Pains. It's not tied to any weapon, and I threw on the enhanced combo rate to those Power of Pains. So now she has 3 pieces of gear that every time she attacks, the combo rate goes up even faster. Melissa. She has a plus 30 power badge, or I could give her a plus 1000 HP and combo rate badge. Melissa's not doing that much damage, so trying to squeak out a little more. Sorry, that was my watch bumping the table. Trying to squeak out a little bit more damage with a plus 30 power isn't going to make that huge of a difference, but increasing the combo rate so everyone else does more damage will. She also has a Power of Pain with Bullseye, which is pointless. I know I have more. Is that one? There's one. So now she has the same Power of Pains, but instead of Bullseye, I have Combo Rate Enhance. Shigure. He is geared, Grasta-wise, for HP, which makes sense because he's a tank. You can abandon that and go for all damage. So the Leopard gear, the Leopard armors, all have combo rate, so he can equip a Leopard gear. I can look and see if anything else improves combo rate. We have the Winged Ones badge. I'm actually not sure if anything does, so forgive me for a second while I look. There might just be a simple improves combo rate badge. Probably is, now I'm thinking about it, but I don't know if I've ever actually used it. You could also gear people for speed so they have more turns during an AF burst if you don't have combo enhancement type of gear. Enhanced combo rate badge, perfect. Okay, and then his Grasta aren't really doing anything damage-wise. I could look at the Katana Grasta and try to find some more Power of Pains, or I could do Power of Awakenings, anything to improve more damage. I could also look at Shared Grasta. He could be the one holding Enhance if Max HP type of Grasta. So let's see, which one is this? Bullseye. Might as well. So let's see, we're on Katana still. Power of Pain, Awakened Zone, sure, why not? Alright, so now he's going to do a little bit more damage as well. And now my dog wants to leave the room. 1 second. Alright, the dog is happy, so I'm happy. And then we can look at this gear. Well, at no point does anyone have low hit points. So now would be a good time just to kind of glance through and just see if there's anything that might help in any way whatsoever. So Almighty Power Eastern, for example. Do I have any Eastern characters? So at this point, you look at the ability tab. Sesta doesn't have much going on. Tsubame is Eastern. She's a cat lover and a glutton. Melissa, none of those. And Shigure is also a cat lover and Eastern. So Atoa, if I switch to Personality Grasta, I could give her Almighty Power Eastern or Almighty Power Cat Lover, or both. So if you don't have Atoa, you basically just look at your other characters and see who has those personalities. So we'll go ahead and do Almighty Power Eastern. And how strong is this one? We'll go ahead and do Cat Lover. Why not? And then Tomei. I think we'll... You know what? I don't remember how much extra damage Power of Awakening Katana does, but does affect 3 people, whereas Cat Lover affects 2. So even if the third one is Melissa and she doesn't do that much damage. Let's just do it anyway. Alright. So now, what we have done differently. Sesta has a weak point strike instead of a third power of pain. Tsubame has 3 items that improve combo rate. Melissa has a few items, 2, that improve combo rate. And Shiguri has 2 items that improve combo rate and 2 power of pains now. And then Atoa now has a shared personality Grasta instead of the enhance at low HP. So if you know what the fight is like going in, like I know that this party is not going to lose any health. So therefore the low HP Grasta is pointless. So now that we've made those tweaks, let's check out the fight, I think probably for the final time. And let's see if we can beat the current record of 462 billion. I did not expect to take it this far when I started recording this. Alright, we are going to Twin Blade immediately for the expose. You know what I should have done? Fierce Feline. I should have swapped the 2 of them. Yeah, let's do that. Alright, one final tweak. What I realized. Fierce Feline buffs the person to Tsubame's right, which means I've been buffing Melissa this whole time. What I need to be doing is buffing Sesta. So Sesta needs to be to Tsubame's right. That was not splendid. Okay. Switch order. Swap the 2. Alright, now hopefully the final fight.
Love me a good fight.
Alright, so we're going to do 3, 0, 3, 1. And we're going to do all 1s a little bit, and I'll try to work in a Nephrite boost and Winds of War when I can. So 3, 0, 3, 1. 3, 0, 3, 1. Winds of War, Nephrite boost. Alright, we got everything. We're going to burst the first possible time to get the win zone. Alright. We're going to Injaku, Wolfheart, Lunatic, and Sorai, just like before. Then following the burst, we're going to spam all 1s, and I'll start working in Wolfheart releases. I think it was around 600% combo rate. What you should notice this time around, watch the combo rate. Last time we ended at around 1,000. Let's see what we end with this time. Just spamming all 1s. We're already at 700 combo rate. Alright, I'm going to start watching for Twin Blades. There's number 2. Combo rate's already 1,000. And I'm watching. There's number 3. Combo rates in the 1300s now. There's Twin Blade number 4. Injaku, Wolfheart, and we'll just Wind Divide, and Sarai again.
I'm gonna cut you to pieces.
So we were able to burst a second time. This time, all of this damage is with a, what, 1300 modifier? What combo rate are we at now? 1500. 1600.
All right, listen up.
So, did we do enough to break 500 billion in damage? Just from repositioning and adding in some combo enhance rates. I'd like to think so, but we don't know until we see the numbers. Good job, Kuramaru. There we go. We did it. We broke 500 billion. We're at 567 billion in damage with a 16-16 combo rate. Go win, team. I'm now glad I Stellar Awakened Shigure. Now, the purpose of this video is not to brag. I actually did not expect to get that high, especially having never used Shigure before. What I wanted to show you is how do you choose a team?
Summon forth the darkness.
We started with a relatively modest group. Characters that have been around for years. And hammer. And in each scenario, ignore the reserves. We had a tank type, we had a primary damage dealer, we had support characters, some that could buff, some that could provide defenses, some that could deploy zones, etc. And this team did have success. It's not like this was a bad team. Can they break 500 billion on the dummy? No. Not in a million years. But what we did is we looked at the weaknesses of each team. We saw that Garam, while he's a good tank, there were better ones. Soira is a very clear upgrade from Garam. Seven wasn't providing much either, so we looked at other wind characters that could help. And one of the issues we had, we weren't able to have an awakened wind zone more or less constantly, and we didn't have much in the way of heals. Melody filled in that gap. So then this became a good team. Eventually we found that this team wasn't able to pierce barriers very easily, so we looked for wind characters that could pierce barriers. And that brought us to Sesta normal style. And then this was a very strong team for a very long while. Eventually, we started to realize that this team needed more oomph. It needed more damage. So we looked, and defensively, this team was excellent, so it made sense to start looking into replacements. So we found... I actually can't remember the order now. I think... Who was it next? Subami and Shani started to work in, and then we swapped to Sesta another style. So we had wind zone more or less on demand between the two of them, a very long wind zone at that. She provided heals, she provided pain, even though Sesta can technically apply pain as well. We had tanking, who could also debuff more so, and then we had multi-hits to keep an AF bar going. And then this team for a while worked out really well. And then we started looking, we have very powerful, pretty powerful, probably the weak link. So we looked at other characters that might be able to fill the gap. And we found a slash user who could pray and pump out a little extra damage, since we already had pain and everything else going. So then this team worked for a while, and then we decided that the tank wasn't pumping out enough damage, so we looked for tanks that could pump out even more, either individually or through a link. And his link hooked up him and Sesta to extra damage. So then we looked at the 4. She's still doing great. She's doing great with Shiguri. So Malpifia, we looked for a katana user who could fill in the gap. We didn't try Izuka, but we tried Melissa.
Just give me the orders.
Melissa,
I'll handle the
in
rest.
my case, also has the ability to keep the AF gauge going longer and fill up the stellar bar and his shadow. So the Resonant Power Shadow was affecting 3 people. Shiguri is light. So Resonant Power Shadow was Melissa, Tsubame, and Sesta. So she made a little more sense than trying to throw in Izuka because of what Grasta was benefiting who. And then this team worked really well. And then we looked at the gear, and we looked at the sidekicks. And gear-wise, we started improving combo rate on characters. It does sacrifice survivability to a degree, particularly with Shiguri. And we chose sidekicks that were really tailored towards this particular team. Kuramaru. Slash resistance is reduced by 20%. Slash, slash, and slash. Plus the link is slash. So that sidekick made sense. Moke. Critical damage, not rate, but damage, improved by 30% on weak point. Well, the expose creates a weak point, so everyone was doing 30% more critical damage. So, and even Tsubame, because her types are magic attacks, and it improved magical critical damage as well. So that's kind of how you get a team. It doesn't really matter what element it is. It doesn't have to be wind, fire teams, etc., crystal, thunder, etc. Get a team that functions, that you're able to succeed some with, and then look to see where on the team you can make improvements. If you don't have the character, like I didn't have Shiguri Stellar Awakened until very recently. So every time, if you want to chase a character, like I chased back in the day, it's not on Katana anymore. Melody. I pulled Sesta, normal style, years ago. And when I pulled Sesta and saw the description saying that she needed an awakened wind zone, I immediately turned to the wiki and looked to see who can redeploy an awakened wind zone over and over and over again. Because I didn't want to rely on like Curio or any of those characters that can awaken it once. Because once you awaken it and it goes away, she loses basically her power. So the only character at the time that I could find who could reawaken it multiple times was, I think, Suzette at the time, and Melody. And Melody, with the heal, with the MP regen, with the barriers, with the pain, she fit perfectly with Sesta at that time. And so every time I got Phantom Crystal Dimension clear, every time I was even a pity sensationalist, I picked her treatises. I didn't care that there were opuses available. I chased after Melody. And I got her within like a month or two. It didn't take that long in the grand scheme of things. I think I used Subaru gems to get her last 2 treatises as well. So I did everything I could to speed up getting a character that I felt was required for Sesta, and it worked well. And that combination worked for over a year. I mean, you can look back in my videos, and so many of them have Melody and Sesta paired together. And during that year-long of dominance, I would collect treatises and opuses for other characters. I was able to get Tsubame through opuses. I was able to get Shiguri through codices, I think. And so over time, I would look to see who I need to be chasing, and that's who I would, as best this game can, that's who I would chase whenever I had the opportunity. And once I had a very functional team, let me turn off my filters for a second. If you look back at my videos, you will see so many videos that involve these 4 characters. This group of 4 was able to carry me probably for a good year before I really felt like I needed to make the win team stronger. During that year, however, I ran my red key dungeons, I ran my green key dungeons, I continued to collect treatises, opuses, codices when they dropped, chant scripts, and during that year where I had this wonderful team, I was able to collect all the drops I needed to create all of my other teams, particularly my fire team. I think I focused mainly on fire and crystal when I could. I got lucky and pulled Alma with treatises not too long after she dropped, and I had her and Thalil Lily. So that right there is like a crystal team. So anyway, so while they continued to demolish Superboss after Superboss after Superboss, that gave me the time to develop my other teams. And then when it came time for me to upgrade my wind team, I had the treatises, I could go after the characters, and eventually up until just a few minutes ago, this is the wind team that I've been using. And now I will very definitely switch out for Shigure.
Going out for a stroll?
And now I can swap them too, so Tsubame can buff Sesta. So this will probably be my wind team going forward. And so you might be asking yourself, after seeing that massive amount of damage, why would you go with this team? Why wouldn't you swap Melody out with Malpifia? Clearly Malpifia was doing way more damage, or helping the team do way more damage. Well, I do also realize that super bosses don't live in a bubble. It's not like you can kill many of them in one turn. Some, yes. And for those one-turn kills, I probably would swap out. But I have to realize I'm going to need to delay. I'm going to hit barriers. I'm going to hit HP stoppers, things like that. So for those, I need healing, and Melody provides barriers, and she provides an MP regen. So for those reasons, I would probably have Melody, and I'd probably keep using Tetra. But I do have the freedom to tweak as necessary. That's why it's important when you're about to face a new boss, unless no one knows about it, go to the Another Eden wiki, read up on the boss skills. It'll tell you if the boss is weak to something, if they're weak to wind, if they're weak to slash. That might influence which characters you bring. So that's kind of where I wanted to go with this video. I wanted to show how you basically identify what each character's role is. I have DPS, tank, and support characters. Technically, he's kind of support as well. And as you progress through the game, as you collect new characters, look at your team, try to identify what is weak about your team, even if your team is not weak, and go, okay, well, maybe I don't need Yifa AS anymore. Yeah, I'd lose her faith, but I'd gain so much more by putting in Tsubame, for example. So that's kind of where I'm hoping that this video allows you to make those judgment calls. So anyway, this is probably going to end up being a long video. I feel like I've been recording for a while, so I kind of apologize if it does end up being a long video, but at the same time, that's really team building in this current content. And I know that if I need less healing, I can swap out Melody for someone else. If I need, another team entirely, I've collected over time, you know, very, very strong other teams. And they all kind of follow that same pattern. I have a huge damage dealer. I have someone that can take damage, avoid damage, and I have strong support. They are damage dealers. She can take damage, strong support. Thalili and Nilia, and in some counter situations, Alma, all are very strong damage dealers. Melissa's very good support. And Thalili is kind of good support. You know, Xianghua does a lot of damage. Support can soak up a lot of damage. So that's kind of how we go from here to current meta type situations. Anyway, long video, but hopefully a helpful one for you. If you've listened to the whole thing, congratulations. I'm not sure if I would have had that kind of patience, but hey, it's out there now. You know, feel free to ask questions, provide feedback in the comments below. I'm also found on Another Eden's Reddit a lot if you want opinions from other people. Because as I always say, I am not an expert on this game. I just know how to put puzzle pieces together pretty well, and I want to share that with you all. So anyway, I hope this helps. Casual Crono, signing out.